Guys, we are back for another episode of the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, and I have been looking forward to tonight's episode for quite some time. One, because I first heard about this guy, and I've known about him from what he's done with the big break, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I've known about him since he won the Arizona Open in a playoff at Troon Country Club, and that's a big deal for a couple of reasons. One, I played the golf course right after him, and then I got the chance to see some of the hardest pin placements that I've ever seen. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I've been doing some research on this guy, and he's played on tons of different tours. He's been pro since '93. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He lives right here in the Valley, part-time in Pittsburgh, so he splits his time between there and here, and I don't even know where he's at tonight. But I'm excited to welcome Brian Cooper to the Wednesday Match Play presented by Eat Sleep Golf, and then we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I have a ton of questions because we're going to be talking about golf and the big break and what he's doing on the different tours. So, Brian, welcome to the Wednesday Match Play.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you tonight.
So we're just right off the bat, you've got the Kierland shirt on. I know that you have Weston Kierland Golf Club as your home course. I work for Troon.
Right.
Kierland's managed by Troon, so there's a little bit of a connection there. So talk about, one, why Kierland, two, what you liked about the golf course, and a little bit about why you've made the Weston Kierland Golf Club your home course.
Well, first and foremost, I think they made me their choice to be able to represent the property. I mean, I obviously I worked there years ago when it wasn't even managed by Troon when I first got hired. I was working for Mike Ryan, and when he was the director of golf, and I think Marriott was still running the course right before Troon took over. Mike was actually at that time he actually advised me to stay with Troon at the property. So. But I was there before the hotel was built, before any of that land was turned into the awesome, property it is today. But as they started to develop the property, Mr. Lang, the general manager of the hotel, was always there on property, overseeing what was going on. And he and I developed a great relationship. He's more like a father to me. We actually share the same birthday, which is odd. So, from that point on, with a lot of help from DJ Flanders, who used to be the director of golf there, who I worked for a little while, he just said, we need to, you just need to stay here. And, we sat down with Bruce one day and he's like, this is your home for as long as you want it. He said, you just have to wear the logo for me, promote it, and, just continue to, be a good brand ambassador. And, so I've probably been there longer than anybody, and I love it. No matter where golf takes me, accolades, financial. I'm not the kind of person that's going to leave and go join a Whisper Rock or any place like that. Kierland's always going to be my home. I love it there. It's just comfortable, and I can't speak enough for how they treat me.
That's really cool that you mentioned all those names. So we were just talking before we went live. Mike Ryan is in the corporate office. I see him on a daily basis. I've actually never met DJ in person. I only see him online because I'm
like a ghost.
Yeah, he kind of is. Like, throw a dart and you'll find him because he's either in Dubai or in Australia, or he was in Texas not too long ago.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
So I'll make sure that both those guys see this. I'll make sure Nancy sees this. I know that the whole team over there is excited that you were coming on the show. So now you talk about the Weston Kierland, but then you've got a ton of sponsors on your website. So through your journey, you've obviously picked up the need for sponsors, and a couple of them Game Golf, which I've got a very specific Game Golf question here in a little bit. But how does a brand become a sponsor of what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish? Do you find them, or do they find you, or a combination of them?
I think it's a combination of the two. Some of the brands that I've become associated with obviously aren't financial. Some are just a product endorsed relationship, which is fine with me. But I only do the ones that I really feel are something that I believe in and trust. Every sponsor or brand that I'm associated with, I truly believe in and do value the relationship. So I think my longest one there has been Titleist. If it wasn't for, years ago, Titleist did a big changeover and switched things around, but I, at that point, had developed a really great relationship with Vice President of Tour Operations, Mac Fritz, and, he made sure they kept me around, and, it's just been a great relationship with them, and obviously the hotel, and, obviously a few others, Golfer Aid, which is a drink company, supplement drink company that I do, and they're out of Santa Cruz. They've been extremely, extremely great. My clothing line, Devereaux, has been awesome. It's just been some really good, unique opportunities that have come my way, and honestly, I think a lot of them have come my way because of Big Break, which I'm sure we'll get to a little bit later.
Yeah, you've got a Devereaux shirt on there. I see that. They've been on the show before, so I know those guys. That's really cool. So over the years,
they're based here now, which is really good. Their warehouse is right down in Tempe. So if ever I run into an issue, boom, I can just drive down there, pick up, and go. I don't have to wait weeks to get whatever I need. So it's awesome.
That's not by chance. They moved here because of you. I hope.
I wish. Yeah, I wish I was that high up, but no. It just worked out that way, and the brothers are awesome. So we have a good time together. So it's cool.
So you played on a lot of tours. I mean, the Canadian Tour, and you've played on the Gateway Tour, and you've done some stuff on the PGA Tour Latin America. Like, is there a difference from one tour to the next? And kind of walk us through what it's like to experience a Canadian Tour event versus a Gateway Tour event. Are you treated differently? Is one better than the other, or is it just all a part of the journey to get to the PGA Tour?
I mean, obviously, any like Canadian Tour, PGA Tour Latin America, those are both tours that are definitely preparing you for the next level. You're not taking a cart, you're walking, you're wearing slacks. I mean, there's ropes. I mean, you're treated like you're playing a PGA Tour event, which is very important. Gateway, for a long time was a very, very, very good tour here in the Valley, and over recent years has definitely lost a little of its luster, which is disappointing because there's a lot of guys that live here in the Valley that don't have full status, and that's where we used to hang our hat and knew that we had a place to play all year if we didn't have anything going on. But the difference, I mean, I don't know if competition's any different. I would like to think it's not. But when you're walking 4 days and you're battling to make a cut, and there's a lot on the line, I think a PGA Tour Latin America event versus a Gateway event is definitely always going to be superior. I value every place I've played, every mini tour event I've played, every pro-am, anything I've played, because every event that you play as a professional is a learning experience. Whether you win, lose, tie, draw, withdraw, get DQ'd, no matter what it is, it's always a learning experience to play golf. I mean, every day is different out there, So you could play good pace on a Gateway event, and then think you're doing great, and play a PGA Tour Latin America event and shoot, 7 and night, pack your bags and go home. It's different than these other events, though, is obviously having that status PGA Tour logo behind you is enormous, and the travel. I did, well over 100,000 miles of travel, and that's tough. It's tough when you're 3-year-old and your husband, and it's really tough to maintain that. So it has its bonuses, that's for sure too. But it's enough to have this job where some people think, oh, I wish I could do what you. I always like to say, yeah, I don't think you want this job.
Well, the idea that you played on so many tours does provide that level of experience, and yeah, it's not easy going from one stop to the next, but obviously that makes you a better player every time you've gone through that, and you see that on guys that have been successful on the PGA Tour and kind of their journey where they've started. So now I have to throw this out there. I know the Kierland is your home course, but there's a lot of good golf courses here in the Valley. So besides the Westin Kierland, what are a couple of your other favorite courses? And if they happen to be Troon affiliated, then I guess that's okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are definitely a lot of golf courses in the Valley that are, outstanding. I mean, obviously, and having, golf courses. Whisper Rock, I'm not going to lie, but, I don't think it's my kind of setting, so to speak. I'm more of a blue steel move, so it doesn't really, it doesn't suit me as a person. But I do love going up there and play. I absolutely enjoy to work there. They've been great guys, very welcoming. But if I had to pick a course other than Kierland to play every day, honestly, I think it would be Phoenix Country Club. something about that golf course where, if you blindfolded somebody and you just dropped them right there, you just wouldn't know that you're in Arizona. And for me, growing up on golf courses like that, where there's trees all around, I mean, to me, that would probably be the place that I would time. I do enjoy playing it when I do get a chance.
Yeah, a lot of guys in the office are members out there, so that's I've not played it, but I have heard nothing but good things about it, and maybe one of these days I'll get the invite to play it. Now you mentioned it, and obviously that is kind of not the focus. There's so many things we could have made tonight's focus on, but you were on the Big Break, and talk a little bit about that, how you got picked for that, what that experience was like. Kind of just recap your Big Break experience for us.
I guess before we even talk about Big Break, we have to, me personally being a Pittsburgher, I have to say that, recently we lost Arnold Palmer. That's something that definitely weighs on anybody's that's a professional golfer's heart, let alone somebody that's from Pittsburgh. Even more so from a guy who gets on a TV show on a network that's created by Arnold Palmer. So first of, that's very important for me to know and let people know that is important. Big Break was fun. I have to admit it's extremely hectic. They're long days, early mornings, late nights. There's very little warming up, so you're stiff on a lot of shots, and it's wonder why people say, "Oh, how'd you miss a green from 150?" Well, you try sitting down for 2 hours and then, get a few practice swings with no ball, and then you step up. It's nerve-wracking. 15 cameras lined up at you, so it's a little tough. But I've talked to players. I firmly believe that Big Break made me a better player. I've talked to players who've been on the show that said it totally ended my career, and they quit playing after, and I totally understand that. I enjoy it. I think it brings out the best in you. Obviously on Big Break Greenbrier a few times it brought out the worst in me, but that's just me. I'm a Pittsburgher. I'm not doing it to rub anybody the wrong way or offend anybody. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and that's just the way it is. But I don't think. I think the moment of Big Break itself, everything that it was during Big Break Greenbrier, really had me nervous. I don't think that I definitely don't think I performed my best, and I made it to finish fifth. And I think if I had been playing a little better, I think I may have gotten a little bit further, maybe gone all the way. Greenbrier was a great experience, developed some great friendships with the Greenbrier. I've gone back a couple times, Sam Snead Invitational, won that twice, lost the playoff in the Watson late in 1 year. But Big Rico was, how do I describe that one? I had a great teammate in Shannon. I didn't have such a great teammate with the okay. Let's just say that. But I don't, I think going into that one playing good. I knew I was playing good. I think during the show, it showed how good I was playing. I'm a little biased, but I felt like during that show, there was no guy, whether it was an NFL guy or one of the other, men on the other, 5 teams. No guy was straight up. That's just how it felt. I think Shannon and I proved that, with having a loose cannon as a teammate, the two of us were able to be lean on each other and play really good golf. People always had to be solid, and it just happened to be really solid, 90% of the time. Not our NFL guy didn't hit a shot here or there because he did, and I have to give credit for that. But I think if he would have allowed us to be more of a team, I think things could have turned out great. But that experience was, phenomenal. I think, it's sad that the show's ended, but, great run. It's an absolute honor and chosen for it not only once but twice, and then get chosen the Invitational down at, Renovation, which was just a whole nother whirlwind of. That was live TV. That was totally something different. That was pretty cool too. But yeah, all in all, Big Break is, man, I told everybody I'd do it once a year if they allowed me.
That's awesome. Well, it's cool that you've been able to have so many touch points on that show, and to your comments about Arnold, I do miss the fact that the show is gone. I didn't watch it as much as I would have liked. I haven't had cable for I don't know how many years, but it was one of those shows that you just, even if you don't have cable and you can't watch it on TV, you can't ignore it from just the popularity of the show and the names that were on it and the little things like the NFL piece and the Invitational and stuff like that. And how good is Reynolds Plantation? I mean, that place is just
Reynolds. I mean, it's absolutely. I didn't know about it until it was weird. You know, that March, I think we found out about who was going to be able to play in it. And Arians, Coach Arians, who I've become friends with, was having his charity event in Kierland.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, okay. He asked me, and his son Jake asked me, he says, hey, you mind staying on the tee and helping out? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, man, whatever you guys want. And being a Steeler fan, obviously, Big Ben came in for the event, which was really awesome. We had kind of talked through people, but never met face to face. And we got to meet during that event, which then turned into a whirlwind friendship. I mean, it's, we're really friends now. I mean, we probably talk once a week during the season, talk more in the off season. But it was funny that day, and I was like, yeah, we're going down to Reynolds to play this Big Break Invitation. I was like, oh, dude, he says, I have a house at Reynolds. He stayed at my house. And, I honestly, it was the first day. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, here, he gave me his phone number. He says, yeah, just text me, next week about stuff and I'll get the house all set up. Sure enough, I go down and he gives me my best friend his house to stay. It was a square foot house right on this peninsula. And, I mean, it's just perfect. And I'm like, okay, I'm in this all by myself. What am I going to do? But from then on, we've actually developed a really, really, really good friendship. Obviously, I'm a season ticket holder now to Pittsburgh. I don't go home to every game, but, weird. I went home this week to Kansas City, and he has never acknowledged me during pregame because I always go down on the field before the game. Never. And I've been, 5-6 feet away yelling at him, and he just doesn't. So I quit even saying anything. So I'm standing there behind the field goal, doing their laps up and down, and all of a sudden he comes running down and he stops and he does one of these things, and I'm like, seriously, dude, of all times, it's right. You pointed at me like and acknowledged. I said all these other times, but it was pretty funny. We were texting after, and I'm like, really? He's like, I couldn't even believe I saw you. And I'm like, so I was like, huh, that must mean you're actually focused in pregame. You're not really looking around too much.
That's awesome. What a cool story. The fact that you were able to experience Reynolds, but then to experience at his place, and they've got a lot of peninsulas down there, so I can envision what one of those many might look like that his house sits upon. So
it's pretty good. I mean, he has basically used probably 270 degrees. On his driveway, and you weren't going to his house, you went down the wrong driveway. I mean, you really got, because his driveway is kind of nested between two houses to get down there. So if you go in by accident, it was definitely by accident. You don't know where you're going.
That's awesome. So the guys that Eat Sleep Golf, they always provide a whole ton of good questions for these shows. And and I didn't even see this, but they said, I saw a footnote on your website indicating that you use a fairly specific and unique ball marker. Can you tell us about that? I have no idea what you're about to say, and I'm excited to hear
I don't have a unique ball marker. I'm pretty regimented in the fact that I always have 5 tees and 2 quarters in my pocket, and the quarters all have to be from the 60s. That's the only thing that they all have to, and it's crazy because my mom has gone through quarters and quarters. I probably have backups. I probably have $30, $40 worth of backup quarters from the 60s. I mean, my favorite one, I do have one, is a 1964 quarter because it's all silver, and it definitely makes a funny sound when I have it. But that's it. 5 tees, 2 quarters. I mean, then it has to be the number 7. It has to be add up to 7 because 7 is my favorite number. So that's all.
I dig that. I never tee off on the first hole without 9 tees, and they have to be Troon tees because for whatever reason, the Troon tees just fit my eye better than anything else. So
but I'll say this weird thing: if I break a tee, I still have to get another tee and put it in. If I break it, and it's like kind of superstition, like if I break it on the tee, I need to make sure that I have it in my pocket before the next shot. And if I break one on 18T, I'll still put one in my pocket so that on the second shot and on 18, I still have 7 when I'm done.
Well, yeah, but if you don't have those tees, you're going to fall over when you swing. I totally get that.
Maybe, I don't know. That thing might just be enough weight to do it. Yeah.
So there's 3 9s at Kierland. Which is your favorite and why?
I'd have to say Acacia, just because it's 3, 3, and 3. 3 par 5s, 3 par 4s, 3 par 3s, and it's the most scenic, especially with 7, 8, 9. You tee off in front of the clubhouse, then you got a pretty good elevated par 3 after that, and then 18 is just a fantastic finish. Straight downhill, right at the hotel.
It's not either. That's not an easy
hole. I mean, you got. I mean, it's really, for me, for guys who hit it in that 290 to 310-ish area, if you got to catch it perfect, otherwise you catch a little bit of a downhill lie every time. So you're better off laying back like 275, 280, so you at least have a flat shot, or really smashing one so that you can get it down the bottom. And there's always people at the hotel waiting for that second shot, so it's always a little bit nerve-wracking.
So, obviously fitness is a huge component of golf for both amateurs and professionals. Here in the Valley, there's about 100 different places that you could work out. Where do you work out, and do you have a relationship with the gym, or do you just bounce around, or what's your routine?
Yeah, I mean, I have a relationship with the gym. I mean, I have a card that allows me to work out there 24 hours a day, whenever I want to go in. It's just basically like a room key. And I worked out for years with Steve Heller. I find his program to be outstanding, but I don't find it to be outstanding for me. For me, what it does is it makes me really, really flexible, and I don't like much flexibility in my golf swing. I mean, if anybody's watched me, my golf swing's very short, probably 3/4, just like as if I was taking a slap shot in hockey. It's right in that area. Even my teacher, Michael Bove, says, all your power is generated from right here to here. He says, it's just short, compact. He says, that's where yours is. I work out with a guy named Tony Rice, down at 24 Fitness on Camelback, on Indian School. Have been going to him for the last probably 8 months, 9 months. And I mean, I can't speak highly enough for, what he's done. I mean, he's added probably 15 pounds to me, and it's been all muscle. It's the heaviest I've ever been in my life. It's kind of, the number itself kind of freaks me out. I'm like, geez. But then when I see somebody, they're like, dude, how much weight have you lost? And I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. Because it's just basically leaned me out, but it's added a lot more muscle. And he's done a phenomenal job. I can't thank him enough for all, the programs he's put in place to help me, get to where I'm at. And I mean, honestly, I attribute a lot of my success at the Arizona Open to just being fit and a lot stronger.
That's really cool. So you hold a lot of course records. What was your first, and which one means the most? Oh, stop it. You've got
a my first. I was playing back in Ligonier, oddly enough, Pennsylvania, with my best friend. And it was at his parents' little little club in Ligonier. I forget the name of it now. But we played Ligonier Country Club. But it wasn't there. I forget the name of it. I'd have to ask him. But yeah, and that was the first one. Obviously, the one I cherish the most is the 59 at Kierland. I mean, that one is. Because it has a segue to it that I was wearing that game golf device when I did it, and supposedly I'm the first person to ever shoot 59 device. So I think all in all, that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm going to start. I have that somewhere on my list of questions to start calling you Mr. 59. So you've literally just answered that question, and I like that, because that's
I still have the balls right there. I still have the golf balls.
That is a ridiculous score. Like,
there you go.
That is crazy cool. Like, that's so good. And you know, I think about like a number like that. And like today, they posted the second round scores from the web.com stuff at Auction Southern Dunes. And the guy that's in the lead is at 124. That's unbelievably good. Like, guys made the cut at like 142.
Yeah.
Like 124.
Yeah, no, that's
Dumb good.
That's going deep. That's what 16 under for 2 days there. Because I think they changed. I think it's 70 during Q school. I think they changed one hole. I think, but yeah, I mean that's taking it deep.
If I break 80 there from the gold tees, I had a pretty good day.
It's never been. You know, it's funny. It's never been a golf course I've ever had a terrible amount of success on. You know, I got through U.S. Open qualifying there one year, but for the most part, it's just a golf course. Oddly, just I stand on every tee and I'm just like, I'm just not comfortable. I mean, it's just not, you know, mainly because I think every hole there, even the holes that go right to left, seem like they want you to hit it left to right. I don't know if that was Couples' way of just playing with your mind, like, you know, like Pete Dye, but just in a different way. But yeah, I've never really felt comfortable on that golf course.
Well, you got to go back and play hashtag mini dunes, and there's nothing. Just it's a wedge. Like, just hit a wedge all day on hashtag mini dunes.
I don't mind that. I like hitting wedges.
So I've heard over the years, and you don't have to answer this as much as I hope you might, but I've heard over the years that the Big Break has got a little bit of acting to it, that it's not as cut and dry and as much competition as it might seem on TV. Is there any of that, or is it just straight get up, hit it, and it's straight competition?
I mean, you mean basically choreographed, like kind of?
Yeah. Sometimes I felt like stories I've heard is that it is. So okay, it's good. I don't want it to be.
No, there was nothing on any episode or any show that I was on that was ever, hey, can you do this for TV? No, everything happened just as it was. I mean, I think the best part of that whole show is the interviews, and you know, their way of getting you to say things probably that you don't want to is, you know, before the interview, there's a time for you to take a shower, change your clothes, and, you know, maybe toss 2 or 3 back. And, you know, that's what they want you to do, because then, you know, then it's kind of one of those things where you're in the interview and they ask you a question. And I'm like, I'm not sure you want me to answer that one. And, you know, I've definitely had my fair share of those moments in the interview room where I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to answer that, or yeah, are you sure you want me to answer that moments? But yeah, but no, it's never been choreographed. It's, you know, 100% legit, just like pretty much, you know, what you see is, you know, what you get.
That's really cool. Good. I'm glad to hear that from somebody that's been there and has been there more than once. This is a good question from Eat Sleep Golf. What advice would you give to junior golfers looking to pursue their golf dreams? And that's such a big topic, especially from where I sit with the Troon Junior Club, us trying to grow the game and introduce juniors to the game, whether you're 3 or you're 13, trying to get young kids to play the game and to pick it up from a different perspective. The Ricky Fowlers of the world are helping that. But what would you give advice to a junior looking to pursue their dreams in the game of golf?
You know, I would still tell them, make sure you're pursuing other sports as well. I think being an athlete is paramount to being a good golfer. I've never been one that's a singular sport guy until they're old enough to know that they're a singular sport kid. 13 is not old enough to know that you're a singular. In my opinion, is not old enough to be a singular sport kid. Now, I have a 3-year-old, 3.5-year-old. I have him in everything. I mean, he's skating, he's playing t-ball, he's playing golf, he's swimming, he's doing everything. And he's going to do that until he's well into his teens, before I feel like, as a parent, like, hey, you know what, you're really, really good at tennis, or you're really, really good at something. But for the junior golfers that feel like this is their way, this is what they've, you know, been bred to do, so to speak, I just say, hey, man, follow your dreams. I mean, if this, you know, balls to the walls, you know, don't take no for an answer. And just pursue your dreams. I mean, just enjoy the moment with it. Most importantly, don't put too much pressure on yourself at this stage of the game. I mean, but enjoy it. And if this is what you want to do, just pour everything you have into it and have fun with it.
So I didn't tell you before we went live this was going to fly by, and we've only got a couple of minutes left. But I got two more questions before we jump into the back nine. And this is a good question to kind of go back a little bit to the Big Break. And big break is obviously something that's gonna be associated with you forever. But you've got to have a couple of memories that just stand out. So Eat Sleep Golf wants to know, what is the best part about having participated in that show overall, from the start to the finish? What was the most memorable experience that you had from the big break?
From the show itself, or just after the show?
Yeah, both. I mean, however you would answer that. I think just if the big break hadn't existed, because it existed in your life and in your career, what was your biggest takeaway?
Wow, there's been so many. I mean, I look at friendships I developed. Like the friendship I had with Ben. I don't know if that would be possible. Being able to start the terrible towel wave at a Steeler game in front of 68,000 fans. I don't know if that would have been possible. Just being recognized and being respected for what I've done in golf, and things like that. I mean, I don't know. There's so many. Meeting Sam Snead's son. Hanging out with my son's kind of yelling in my background.
It's all right. Keeps it real.
I don't know. I think I would be cheating myself by saying that there's one that really, really stands out. I mean, so many opportunities have come my way because of Big Break. Obviously, super thankful. The show itself, like I said earlier, was an enormous gift. But yeah, there's no way I could ever. I mean, I could stand here for an hour and tell you the things that, because of Big Break, what I've gotten and the experiences I've had with it.
So as you progress through your career and as you get older, do you ever think that the PGA Tour Champions would be something you want to pursue? And is that something that you start planning for and practicing for at a certain point in your career?
What do you mean older? I mean, I've actually already signed up for it. I'm 49, so
There's no way you're 49 years old.
Yeah, man, nobody believes it. I found out that I was the oldest guy to win the Arizona Open. So, I mean, I think that was pretty cool. But yeah, I get to go. Cool. Yeah, I go in November. I already signed up. I'm going to Country Club of Silver Springs, November 15th through 18th. For their first stage. I can only qualify. I won't be able to play until April if I obtain full status. So yeah, there is no looking forward. I mean, this is the plan at this point. I mean, I didn't even go to Q school this year because to me, there is no value in it for me to go to Q school when at my age, when my focus should be champions. And I think that not feeling 49, not looking 49, not being physically 49, I think is an advantage. And I think I need to use that as an advantage for champions to be able to prepare for that. So that's where we're headed in November.
So when you get to the Champions Tour, you're gonna have to come back on the show, not as the Big Break, but as the PGA Tour champions.
So yeah, man, that'd be awesome. Motivation. And it's funny, they got an event next year at Phoenix Country Club. So
see, if that's not meant to be, I mean, right there. I mean,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, geez, this could be pretty cool.
Now, before we go, we have this quick segment called the Back Nine. It's just 9 fun, random golf questions that is just as much about you and your personality as it is about anything. So, are you ready for your Back Nine?
I hope I have I hope I know the answers.
What's your favorite PGA Tour major?
It's the U.S. Open. I mean, just because Oakmont, being a Pittsburgh guy, has hosted more U.S. Opens than any golf course, and Oakmont's my favorite course of all time. Yeah, it's definitely the U.S. Open. As someone said years and years ago, players don't win the Open wins you.
I dig that. I like that a lot. And normally the Masters is what the answer is, and I wouldn't even, if I was asked that question, I wouldn't even say the Masters. So
yeah, it's the Open.
What driver is in your bag right now?
The 915 Titleist. I'm a Titleist head to toe, top to bottom, every club in my bag. But I'm actually headed over to TPI on the 26th of this month to get fitted for the new 917. So yeah, just the Titleist 915. With a $40 shaft in it.
That's awesome. The $40 shaft. So chances are you've had an ace in your career. If so, how many have you had?
15.
That's dumb. That is the record on this show. 3, I think, was the record. 15. I want 1.
15 and 3 of them in tournaments.
That's just silly. I'm sorry. That's crazy. Do you save the golf ball?
My very first one was I hooped it. It flew right in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's 15. That I can't even fathom that.
Yeah.
So I like to hit balls for an hour before I play. I hit, I chip, I stretch, I do the whole shebang. Do you have a very determined pre-round routine, or do you just kind of wing it?
Yeah, I like to arrive an hour before, and I just take my time. I usually spend. I go to the range first. I usually spend 40 minutes hitting balls, and then I usually spend the last 10 to 12 minutes putting, and then I go to the tee. Nothing crazy.
Okay, I dig that. I bet you practice more than I do, though, because I don't practice. Who is your favorite?
I'm more of a course practice. I don't like hitting balls. It bores me.
I like that. Who's your favorite LPGA Tour player?
LPGA Tour player?
Yeah, that's a curveball.
I'd have to say Cheyenne, just because we share the same teacher, Mike LeBeau. So yeah, I'd have to go with Cheyenne.
There's a Kierland connection there too.
Yeah, not because of her uncle, but just because we share the same teacher.
Her uncle? Who's her uncle? Remind me.
The guy that missed Arnold Palmer's funeral yesterday.
So I was just talking to somebody about that today. Do you think he was either there and behind the scenes, or there was a private piece to that? Because I would think that if Tiger's there, then the media wants to focus on that.
I talked to my buddy today, a sports writer that's very close with Mr. Palmer, was there, and he said he wasn't there. So unless everybody's been told to keep it hush-hush.
That would shock me if he wasn't.
It would really disappoint me too, but
man,
life goes on.
So let's have a drink. We just finished 18 holes. What are you ordering?
Crown and Coke.
Ooh, I like it. Now your fitness experts would tell you Diet Coke, but
Diet Coke is worse in because it has that whatever, I don't even know what aspartame in it or whatever it is.
Diet Pepsi is now aspartame free, so you can get it with Pepsi.
Yeah, but Pepsi and Crown, I've tried that. It's not the same.
I assume you're going to say Caddyshack, but what's your favorite golf movie?
You know, man, I like Dead Solid Perfect.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah, I like that one. That's with Randy Quaid.
Okay.
You know, there's a funny spot in there where his wife in the movie, he played really bad, and he comes back to the trailer, and she says, you know, I saw a deer run across the fairway, or dash across the fairway while you were playing. And he says, you know what I shot today, or something like that? He says, F a deer dashing across the fairway.
Now I want to go see that immediately. I might have to see if I can find that on Netflix whenever we get off here. So Tiger, I mean, he's above me and he's all around me, and I'm his biggest fan, and I can't wait for him to tee it up next week at Napa at Silverado. Do you think, why or why not, does he break Jack's record? Now, say this with the preface that he comes back and he's healthy. Do you think he breaks the record? Why or why not?
Like healthy, like he was when he was playing good golf?
Yes.
If he's that healthy,
he's taken enough time off.
Yeah, if he's that healthy and his game is like that, sure, I think he breaks it. But I don't think we will ever see the same Tiger again, no matter how healthy he is on the golf course. I just don't think he's ever going to be the same golfer. I mean, can he win? Sure, I think he'll win. I just don't think he'll ever be again. Sad, but I just don't. I think it's been too long. I just don't think. I for a lot of reasons, but I just don't. I think great for golf. I just don't think he's that guy again.
Okay, I'll allow that. I don't like it because I want him to win every tournament he plays in, but I'll allow that. And your final question of your hashtag Wednesday match play. Yeah, I mean, I want him. I mean, I don't think he can win at Silverado. I mean, I think he can compete. I think he can make the cut in the top 15, top 20. But you know,
the old Tiger in this event that he's coming back. I mean, you wouldn't think about, oh, is he going to make? You think about where's he going to finish? I guess if he's going to make the cut. I mean, really. I mean, whoever thought that you would making a cut with Tiger Woods?
But at the same time, Tiger's missed only one more cut in his career than Jordan has missed in his career. So if you think about the number of cuts that Jordan's missed compared to the number that Tiger missed in the last 2 years, I mean,
right.
that's in my opinion, that puts him at the top of the pile in terms of the greatest of all
No, I
time.
mean, I still think. I mean, unless he breaks his record, Nicholas is always going to be the greatest. I hope he comes back into that mold because I mean it would be really good for golf for him to come back, who was the greatest against these guys who are now Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, McIlroy, Speed. You know, to come back and say, "Wow, he's back and totally start dominating again." I think it would believe. I just don't think it's going to be a story that's going to be.
Hey, time will tell. And your final question of your hashtag Wednesday match play. What's next? I mean, my goodness, you've got a laundry list of tours to choose from. You got tournaments, you've got sponsors. Like, you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, I'm focusing wholeheartedly on Champions Tour. You know, it's all my focus is on. You know, I may play a couple small two-day events prior, but for the most part, I'm worried about is getting ready for Champions Tour November 15th. That's totally my focus, nothing else. And that's it. I mean, that's my goal. That's my thing. I'm sticking with it. I don't want anything to get in the way. Play a lot this year, just because last year I got burned, and this year I wanted to be really fresh going into that because I think that's going to be that can be a big deciding factor.
Very cool, man. Well, I really hope I get the chance to meet you and play golf with you. I need to figure out how many strokes you're going to give me because I'm shooting 59 at Kierland. I'm actually going to be at Kierland tomorrow afternoon, so I don't know if you're going to be around. But
I'll be there. I'll be there in the morning. I don't know how long. If it's not busy, I'll end up playing. So there's a good chance. If you pull up front and you see a black green Cherokee in the valley spots where they're not supposed to be, then you know I'm still there.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. This will get posted and shared all over the place. I'll make sure that all the team in the office see it, including Mike Ryan and DJ Flanders. And as always, on the hashtag Wednesday Match Plays, you have to remember to eat, sleep, golf.